to help us find the hot spots and the top travel trends. We invite into the stream Brett Keller. He is the CEO of Priceline. Good to have you here. And I just got to tell you, we're going to talk about this in another segment, but United Airlines adding, 500 flights. Southwest added 1,000 at the end of March. So we want to hit the road. Where do we want to go?
Well, that's a great question. Here's what we do know. Americans really want to travel right now. We're seeing, in March, especially through spring break, a nice surge in bookings. And that's only, I think, going to take off as we get into April, May, and really into the peak of summer travel. And what's happening is because obviously international travel is essentially shut down, people are moving into U.S. destinations at a much higher pace. So, over spring break, we saw the warm destinations like Florida, especially. Orlando was very much a hot spot, as was Cancun, Hawaii, Vegas, not surprising, number one by a long shot here in the States. And with shows opening up there in the next couple of months, I think we'll see that even pick up more. National parks are starting to get some interest. Obviously, it's National Park Week. And so we're beginning to see, a lot more travel happening in these types of destinations. A number of consumers are traveling by car, and they are finding many of the smaller metro areas to be, interesting for them and safe. But we're seeing the big cities starting to pick up now. Even New York last week started to see some movement in bookings versus what they were seeing, just a couple of weeks ago.
Brett, are there any deals left, or are prices pretty close to those pre-pandemic levels?
Yeah, it actually depends on what you're booking. If you're looking at booking hotels, there are absolutely still some excellent discounts across all star categories. Pricing is running down about, say 10 to 15%. If you look at flight, they're even down more, 20 to 25%. Where you're really going to pay up is for rental cars. Rental cars are already up almost 30% versus levels that we saw in 2019 at their peak pricing. So with the compression on cars, you almost might pay more for a rental car than any other part of your travel, which is why, packaging is becoming very much a hot trend right now. Also with business travel essentially at a standstill, consumers are booking longer vacations in order to work from their destination.
How do you get the deals? Because just for fun, I checked out the southernmost resort in Key West, went there years ago, great place.
Sure.
They want more than $800 a night off season. I was looking in October. So is this the kind of thing where someone could call up and negotiate? How do you get the deals? Because I know that, in Miami, you can get a hotel right now for about $140.
Yeah, it depends on the destination, right? I think depending on the amount of inventory that's currently open in a market, and most of the major U.S. destinations, there's a lot of inventory available right now. And so if you're looking in markets like Florida, for the most part, you're going to find some really nice value in markets like Miami, Orlando, Tampa, et cetera. When you start to go to some of the smaller destinations, that's going to be a little bit more challenging, but there's still value out there. It's not necessarily that you pick up a phone. Really, some of the best ways to access the discounts today are through packaging, right? When you bundle your flight and a flight hotel car together, you're going to see deeper discounts because that's where we can provide the deepest value to you. And we're able to really pull in some very discounted rates, bundle them together, and provide that as a service to our customers. So packaging is a really good shot if you're looking for a great deal.
Brett, during the pandemic, one of the shifts that we saw in behavior where people tended to book their travel, their trips last minute. Is that a behavior that you think is going to stick around post-pandemic?
Yeah, we've seen that trend really since 2008. Ever since the iPhone launched, we have seen people booking more and more last minute each year. That really escalated in 2020 because people did not want to book way in advance because they didn't know if they're even going to be able to travel or what the market situation was going to look like. So I think that trend, while it's backed off a little bit from what we saw last year, it's still quite prevalent. Many consumers aren't even booking until the actual day of travel. And with the proliferation of travel apps like Pricelines, it's very easy to go onto Priceline and to see available inventory and book a reservation literally within a half an hour ahead of check-in. And we have a large number of bookings that take place really at the very last minute.
How do you, for your business, compensate those of us who actually do price compare, hit different sites, and then try to grab the best we can get? Or are they the same across the sites?
They're definitely not the same across the sites. And in fact, the more you book with Priceline, for example, the lower the discounts you'll see. We have a VIP program, for example. It's free to enter, but the minute you start shopping and researching on Priceline, just by signing in, you'll get access to a certain level of discounts. And as you go into your future and book more with us, we'll continue to lower pricing to you. In addition to that, we have a very unique product that's called Price Breakers, which you don't know the exact hotel until after you purchase, but we'll show you a couple of hotels, and it will be one of those hotels. And with a little bit of flexibility like that, you can get a significant discount on your hotel stay. So there's definitely ways that you can find incremental discounts with a little bit of shopping on our site.
Brett, there's talk of vaccine passports. From your perspective, do you think that will help the travel industry rebound faster?
I think it's absolutely going to help for international travel, right? There are some countries that are just not going to let people in without something like this in their hand. For domestic travel, I don't think so. I think that consumers are ready to go out now and literally travel to any of the states within our country. And so I think for domestic travel, that I'm not sure how necessary those are. In fact, you have already seen some states come out and say, we're not doing these at all. Others saying, we're going to have them when we're going to test them. Hawaii, for example, recently said that if you have a passport here in a month, you won't have to quarantine and you won't have to show that you've been tested. So I think that's nice. But I think after a couple of months, if the trends continue to move in the right direction, hopefully that won't be needed for domestic travel. For international, I think that's a different story. It's a lot more complex, and clearly there's a different a different state of COVID vaccinations happening around the world, and this could be helpful in allowing you into a country that may not be at the same level as the U.S.